Global Airlines Flight 33. Now stop fooling around, we're short on fuel. Global 33? What kind of aircraft is that? This is a jet aircraft. Did you say a jet aircraft?
Yeah, I know this. But what is this jet? We have 4 big lovely turbines and they're getting hungry. You know, we're running short on fuel. We need a radar vector to idle wild. Do you have a sort of radar contact or don't you? Hey, check this out. I want to talk to you about false harmonics, tap harmonics, artificial harmonics, pinch harmonics, everything harmonics. Harmonics have been around us forever, you know. They are within our favorite songs. What's a harmonic? Harmonic are, you all know this, I don't know why I'm repeating this, but there's a point to my madness here. Harmonics are certain natural points of chime found on a string. I think any string. I think if you buy any kind of electrical cable and stretch it out, it probably has some harmonics there. But on the guitar, there are harmonics. They're everywhere actually. Most pronounced harmonics are found on the 4th fret, 3rd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret, 7th fret, 12th fret, 19th, and believe it or not, middle of the 2 pickups here. You didn't know that one? Why am I talking about harmonics, man? Well, you know, I was like thinking of something to talk about, really. And those are you interested in what are the things that stand out in my particular style? I don't mean to brag about a style or anything. Everybody has a style. Every guitar player, whether a beginner or advanced, has their own style or the birth of a style. They are often doing things subconsciously that possibly with time will develop into their own style. Signature things, you know, the sound or the way they pick or the way they fret or little things like harmonics or pinches or whatever, but everybody has little things in their style, you know, little things that will develop into a signature personal thing. So I was looking at myself and it's like, you know, what can I discuss, you know, something that I'm always doing that would really, one of the things that would define me, you know, and I think the use of tap harmonics in my playing are very staple, man. A very, very known in my style, in my playing. You know, I'm always using harmonics, as you can see in the old videos. And I'll tell you the truth about harmonics here, my use of them. You know, I really don't know the name of the notes and what they represent. The harmonics are not, you know, the natural chimes here. You know, I never really made an effort, believe it or not, to know the actual note names, or, you know, all I know is that they are found here, 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 like I just said, and maybe this is you know, I don't know, outlining a C chord, and then a D chord, and then definitely a G. I don't know, but you know, and the way I use them is like, the way I use them is crazy too, because I just throw them in there. I'm playing, and I just throw them in there, whether they land sonically in tune. You know, I don't think about them. I just throw them in there, and sometimes they work. Most of the time they work. I'm playing like, and they go off like a freaking rocket, man. You know, and if I got a whammy bar, I go, and it just chime the shit out of it, man. Sometimes they don't work. I don't feel stupid because it happens so quick, people don't notice, you know. Like, oh, look. But most of the time they work, man. And like I'm playing. Anyway, I throw them in there like crazy, man. And tell you a story. Well, first of all, why am I so inclined on using harmonics all the time? I knew as a guitar player that they were around in songs like Barracuda. They were around in songs like Dazed and Confused. They were in songs like Running with the Devil, you know, and very nice, you know, very chimey and impressive. But it was not until Randy Rhoads came out. When Rhoads came out and he was tapping those harmonics in between rhythm parts. You know, I don't know if see? He really made an impression on me, you know, and I remember that I had, at that time, I was, you know, years ago, and this is out on YouTube, they have this King Biscuit Flower Hour, Blizzard of Oz Live, 82 or something like that, and I had it on tape, and I didn't have the whole concert on tape. I had Believer and I Don't Know, over the Flying High Again, sort of, and live he was throwing these harmonics and then making them jump out like crazy, you know. And this was not Van Halen kind of way where you just threw like at the end of a solo or something. Like this is this huge, you know, and more so live, like not even in the record. In the record, you know, he wasn't throwing them live. He would throw these high squeals more. Anyway, it made a huge impression on me. And I remember trying to point this out to a childhood friend of mine. You know, I was really bitten by the music bug back then, and they, you know, my friends they liked metal and everything, but not as much as I did. And I always kept telling, you know, I remember sitting on the sidewalk on the street when I was younger. It's like, oh, look, listen to this guy play. Listen to the way he throws these high squeals. You hear these high squeals in between the song verses and stuff. I was like, wow, like, you know. And, you know, they're like, yeah, it's cool, man. I was just fucking flawed, man. And anyway, it made so much impression on me that I decided to keep it. I decided to keep, I mean, I don't think it was consciously, but I kept, you know, I found out how to use them. I started using them, man, you know. And my first gig, I remember my first gig ever was at this place down at in the Village, Lower East Side or something, man. Some place called Downtown Beirut, you know, and you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, massive stage fright, man, and I was like so, you know, like I was playing my parts, I did my job, you know, we practiced, I delivered, but as far as movement and putting on a show, I was pretty, had stage fright, man. And I remember somebody came to see me, I think one of my co-workers back then, and he told me, yeah, man, you play well and everything, you know, I like when you moved up your leg like this. You know, that was the highlight of the whole show, moving my leg like this. You know, it's like, man, I gotta do more than just standing there and playing. You know, just moving my leg, my thigh up once is not enough. You know? Anyway, so you know, that comes with practice and everything. Started to break out even more. But anyway, the point is, in that particular show, I was throwing harmonics like crazy, man. I was in love with them, man. I had a whammy bar. I think I had a Fender Pacer back then. Fender Strat Pacer. The EMG pickups that I had to change because the originals were squealing like crazy. Anyway, and I was jumping these fucking harmonics like crazy, man. It's like, then I had a whammy bar and I was swinging it, man. I'm like, wow. Somebody said at that gig, said, how do you make those notes jump out like that? You know? And I think they were referring to harmonics. Because every verse, every stop, every time the singer would stop, I would just throwing those, you know? You know? And that's what I remember from that gig. So ever since then, I kept that stuff, man. You know, and to this day, you see it. My last video, what was it? Practically in every video I do, you know. I'm playing a solo, I just go crazy, just throw a fucking harmonic in there. I hope it works, you know. I hope I land it right. Sometimes I hit a dot, you know. It just goes like, doesn't do nothing. But most of the time they're working. Sounds great. So, all kinds of harmonics, man. You know, there are. Oh, here's another signature thing that I want to share. You know, most people pinch. They'll pinch harmonics. You know, like that. Zach Wild. Not only once. You know, they do it with the thumb. Half of the meat in the thumb in the pick and all this. You know, I always had trouble doing that. I don't know, for some reason, or maybe I never practiced it too much. And I started developing, doing the same thing but with my palm. You know, my palm. I would use my. I still do. I use my palm to pinch a harmonic out of a note. You see? See, I did it with my palm. I did, see? The edge of my palm here. That's not the thumb. It's a conventional style. No, I do it with my palm. That's pretty interesting. That's a, you know, personal thing. You know. Anyway, so that's that with the harmonics, man, you know. So in this video, I wanted to play, I wanted to lay on to you. I bet you can't play this thing. You know, you see those videos out there where they bet you can't play this and all this. You got these guys going on. You know, it's like, whatever. You eventually figure it out. But I wanted to do. I bet you can't play this. Now this one is what I would call an evil bet you can't play. Why is it evil? I bet you can't play this. It's an evil bet you can't play this because if you check this out. There's a pattern harmonics. let's do this correctly. Bet you can play this. I can't even play it. You know, here's the pattern. So let me explain this to you here. The pattern is like this. Discriminatory. This is discriminatory, evil, but you can't play this. Why? Because I think that here, what happens is that you do this pattern. And then you got to place your middle finger on the C and do the same thing with your pinky and your index finger of the left hand. Now, it might be a little harder for a person who has short fingers, see? And that's where the evil comes in. That's why it's an evil, but you can't play this, because maybe some can't play it due to their short fingers. If you got long fingers, you might be able to reach like this, you see? I can hardly do it. Then you hit the A open. Oh, it gets confusing. But, you know, I just have to practice it a lot more, but that's my creation there. And Evil bet you can't play this. If you can't play it because you got short fingers, then I don't know what to tell you, man. Because you got it. Do not lift your middle finger off the C, because it's not going to work. You need that accompaniment, you know? Bet you can't play that yet. I know you can later on, you know. Maybe even, I shouldn't even say that people with shorter fingers can't do it. But, you know, I want to do something that's a bit more challenging. Just if you don't lift the finger off the 8th fret here, the middle finger stays on there, and you got to tap the same pattern with what you got. See? This is the hardest part right here. That's my bet you can play that. I always wanted to do that. I didn't want to do any of those fast, speedy licks that's been done. So, hope you could do that. Let me know. Let me put a video response or whatever you want to do. You know, I'll check it out. And if you can't reach with the index the harmonics, then you take a little scissor and you slice into your webbing here and do the video, and then you can sew your fingers back on. No, I'm just kidding, don't do that. Okay, so I'm gonna play a Deep Purple song, you know, but what I want to do is that I don't want to put it in this video, because then it's just a whole half-hour video, and I'd rather do it a separate video so people could choose whether to check this diatribe or check out my song by itself. What else did I want to talk to you about? The harmonics. The harmonics, yes. All kinds of harmonics, man, you know? Let me see. The pinch harmonics, you know. Some, you know. I do it with my palm again, you know. Palm. Hit the palm right there. And when I'm playing, I throw them in there. So that's all signature stuff, you know, things I've developed over the years and I've kept, not willingly, subconsciously. And what else can I tell you about? Pretty much it, man. You know, incorporate some harmonics into your playing. They're very, very attractive, you know. If you can figure out the actual notes, that'll help you out. You could build little chords out of, you know, when hit them in the right key depending on the notes of the harmonics, and you know what works in what keys and everything. Let me finish this out because I want to do the song. I don't want to run out of batteries or memory card here. Okay, so subscribe, say hello, you know. I'll think of something else to talk about, you know. It's not, don't get me wrong, it's not in a way to show off or you know, we all have our own personal attributes that we do all the time. Again, you know, the more we play, we develop certain signature things, man. Things that we've been impressed with when we hear things, you know. Okay, so stay tuned for the song, you know. Check out this song here, Deep Purple. You're gonna like it. Alright, see you next time.